Here are today's top stories. President Duterte is considering the renewal of peace talks with the Moro National Liberation Front. The Department of Transportation plans to further increase the number of operational MRT trains. Ride-sharing companies Grab and Uber are expected to be transparent on the details of their upcoming merger. And on our features section, Catholics are invited to the first public veneration of St. John Paul II's relic. Good day, I'm Pia Rosas Morato. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. President Rodrigo Duterte is considering the resumption of talks with Moro National Liberation Front founder Nur Miswari to discuss the road to lasting peace. In Sultan Kudarat, Duterte said he will explore if discussions can be arranged between the government and the MNLF leadership. Last week, Duterte met with officials of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front led by Chairman Al-Haj Murad Ibrahim in Sulu, where he urged the people to scrutinize the proposed Bangsamoro Basic Law. Duterte had been pushing for the passage of the BBL, preferably before a shift to a federal form of government takes place. The president said he will talk with House Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez and Senate President Coco Pimentel to get the Congress leaders to pass BBL within the year. The president firmly believes that the BBL is one of the solutions to a lasting peace in the Mindanao region. Vice presidential candidate Bongbong Marcos complained that he noticed irregularities as the Presidential Electoral Tribunal began the recount on votes in the 2016 vice presidential elections. Marcos observed that there were alleged wet ballots and missing clustered precinct audit logs in the municipality of Bato in Camarines Sur. He said that all ballots from 4 clustered precincts in the municipality have all been found wet and their contents illegible. He also claimed 39 clustered precincts in the same town had no audit logs. Marcos said the COMELEC is to be blamed for the missing audit logs since they have the ballot boxes in their possession. Vice President Leni Robredo's legal counsel Romulo Macalintal dismissed Marcos' insinuation of irregularities. He said the ballots got wet during typhoon in December, and this was immaterial considering the existence of ballot images. Macalintal maintains that the best evidence in the recount are the ballots themselves. The PT said it still cannot determine when the recount will be finished. The Department of Transportation is targeting the activation of 20 trains for the MRT-3. Transportation Undersecretary TJ Batan said this follows the coming of the new rehabilitation and maintenance service provider of the MRT. The MRT already has 15 working trains following maintenance works during the Lenten break. Batan said this will increase the MRT's capacity to accommodate more passengers. As of August 2012, the MRT has an actual ridership of over 620,000. Batan added that the train line needs a 4-car configuration to serve close to 1 million passengers every day. They are still awaiting the results of the audit of TUV Rainland Incorporated on the Dailan trains from China, which were bought by the previous administration but were deemed to be unserviceable. Malacanang welcomes the death sentence for the principal suspects in the murder of Filipino domestic worker Joanna Dema Felis. DFA Undersecretary Sara Lu Ariola was informed by Kuwaiti authorities of the court decision during a meeting on Sunday. The Philippine Embassy in Kuwait was able to obtain a copy of the court order and is now waiting for a formal notification from Kuwaiti authorities. Despite these developments, Senior Deputy Executive Secretary Menardo Guevara said that the deployment ban to Kuwait is still in effect. Guevara stressed that the Memorandum of Understanding is being formulated to protect OFWs in Kuwait as a solution to the ban. The murder of Dema Felis and other abuses committed to Philippine domestic workers in Kuwait prompted President Duterte to impose the total deployment ban of new Filipino workers in Kuwait. The Interagency Council for Traffic, or IAC, warns against those who may take advantage of its anti-calorum operations. Transportation Undersecretary Tim Orbos said Task Force Kamao operations are done in coordination with the LTFRB. Personnel are therefore prohibited from stopping Calorm vehicles without anyone from the LTFRB present. Task Force Kamao consists of the Land Transportation Office, MMDA, PNP Highway Patrol Group, and Armed Forces of the Philippines. The LTFRB currently has an updated database of accredited and legal transport franchises. Still to come, ride-sharing companies Grab and Uber are expected to be transparent on the details of their upcoming merger. The local government of Mankaing Benguet declares Farmers' Day every first Wednesday to Friday of February. These and more when the PNA Newsroom continues.
In the Philippines, we use the same approach in rebuilding houses and communities after Typhoon Yolanda, a project also funded by the people of Japan.
The Bangon Marawi Comprehensive Recovery and Rehabilitation Program is being crafted. Parallel initiative of the task force is undertaken to implement the current priority of the government to rebuild and develop the settlement areas affected by the armed conflict.
Rest assured, all this gift will be put to the best use for the people of Marawi City. Maraming salamat po sa inyo lahat. Thank you very much. Salamat sa tiwalang pag-asang makabangong muli.
The President issued Administrative Order Number 3, creating an interagency task force, aptly called Task Force Bangon Marawi, to ensure the immediate recovery, reconstruction, and rehabilitation of the city of Marawi and other affected localities.
Japan recognizes the high priority given by the Philippine government to the rehabilitation of Marawi. This is why today, as the first batch of Japan's assistance, we are turning over 27 high-quality Japanese heavy machineries to complement the Philippines' utmost rebuilding efforts. I sincerely hope that these equipment will further speed up efforts to rebuild Marawi from the ground up.
When I received words of this, I could not help thinking that while it would indeed take years for Marawi City to fully recover from what had happened, the help extended today would go a long way in the rehabilitation efforts and would make the toil of rebuilding easier.
It has been 5 months since the Philippine government declared the liberation of the city of Marawi. This news was welcomed by the whole country. We are convinced that these 26 vehicles will benefit the various Philippine government agencies in charge of rehabilitating this city.
The rehabilitation, reconstruction of Marawi City has long been started since the declaration of the liberation of Marawi City from the hands of terrorists. It is because of this objective that the Philippine government sounded off for every concerned entity to help pitch in to help Marawi City. Truly, we can say that compassion and care is present in all of us. The people of Japan and its government have responded well, just like in many situations that have befallen the nation in times of natural calamities. So thank you very much. We're deeply honored that you have, for the gifts that you have given us and the part of all of us in the Philippines. Thank you. Thank you very much from the bottom of our hearts.
The Philippine Competition Commission vowed to ensure that the merger between Grab and Uber will not harm the interest of the riding public. The PCC urged both parties to undergo voluntary review if the transaction does not meet the requirements for mandatory notification. Entities involved in mergers and acquisitions should notify the PCC if the size of transaction goes beyond 2 billion and 5 billion pesos for size of the party. The PCC reminded the parties that if the deal is notifiable, Grab's acquisition of Uber should not yet push through until the Commission has reviewed and approved the transaction. The Commission said the review aims to determine if the Grab and Uber merger will substantially lessen the competition in the ride-sharing market. President Rodrigo Duterte urged farmers to boost the country's food security. Duterte led the distribution of certificates of land ownership awards to over 1,000 agrarian reform beneficiaries in Isulan, Sultan Kudarat. He said that as proud owners of their land, they must continue tilling the fields and bring food to the tables of every Filipino. A total of 4,266 hectares of farmland have been distributed, with each beneficiary getting 2.55 hectares. The President assured continued government support to farmers through livelihood programs such as crop insurance, production and post-harvest trainings, and credit access. The President also commended the Department of Agrarian Reform for upholding the rights of the farmers to own and cultivate their own lands. He called on the Department of Agriculture and other related agencies to increase farm productivity, reduce expenses, and promote the well-being of farmers, consumers, and the public. The Municipal Council of Mangkayan Benguet has approved an ordinance declaring every first Wednesday to Friday of February of every year as Farmers' Day. Mangkayan Mayor Materno Luspian said the ordinance aims to recognize about 10,000 farmers whose decades of hard work sustained the local vegetable industry. Luspian said the special Farmers' Day is also an important way of promoting organic farming. The Farmers' Day will strengthen the agriculture programs in the municipality and encourage them to engage in good agriculture practice. In 2016, white potato, cabbage, and Chinese cabbage were the top 3 vegetables produced in Mangkayan based on the town's comprehensive land use plan. Mangkayan was able to produce over 107,000 metric tons of different vegetable and other agricultural products in 2016. The Laoag International Airport received a temporary aerodrome certificate from the United Nations Aviation Technical Body, making it one of the safest and secure international airports in the country. The International Civil Aviation Organization awarded LIA the aerodrome certificate valid for 6 months or until June 30 this year. Ronald Estabilio, Civil Aviation Area Manager of Area 1, said the Laoag Airport passed the initial accreditation process following the conduct of safety audit and submission of aerodrome manual in 2016 and a subsequent validation audit in 2017. Estabilio said Laoag Airport officials are currently negotiating with some lot owners near the airport to expand its runway shoulder, which should be 150 meters on both sides from the center of the runway. To date, LIA caters to domestic flights at least twice a day, except Mondays and Wednesdays. LIA's international and chartered flights from Guangzhou, China have not yet resumed. The Iloilo City government has prepared a 2 million peso financial assistance to Tribo Panayanon that will represent the Dinagyang Festival in the Aliwan Fiesta in Pasay City on April 26 to 28. Tribo Panayanon of the Iloilo City National High School won the 2018 Iloilo Dinagyang Festival Ati Tribes competition and earned the privilege of competing with festivals from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Mayor Jose Espinosa III clarified that the city government has allotted funds for the tribe's participation to the event organized by the Manila Broadcasting Company. Benito Jimena, Iloilo City Special Assistant for Special Events, said a final meeting will be held this week to discuss the preparations, so the tribe is still asking for an additional 1.4 million pesos as enhancement cost for their props and costumes. Up next, Malacanang asks for a detailed recommendation on the proposed 6-month closure of Boracay. Catholics are invited to the first public veneration of St. John Paul II's relic. These and more when the PNA Newsroom returns.
Siguro bibili na rin naman ng mga school supply, uniforme ng mga bata para pagdating ng pasukan, hindi na mamumroblema.
Sa pagkain po. Tsaka po ako nakakabili ako ng gamot ko.
Ito po yung pinangbabayad sa eskwela ng mga bata. Pandagdag baon din po. Nagpapasalamat sa malaking bagay na naitutulong ng DSWD.
Maganda rin po, nakakatulong.
Malaking tulong siya kasi dahil tumaas nga yung bilihin kahit paano may karagdagan kami.
DSWD, katuwang ang mga kapuspa.
Malacanang is asking for a more detailed recommendation on the proposed 6-month closure of Boracay. The palace received a recommendation from the DNR, DILG, and Department of Tourism. The group recommends the closure of Boracay on April 26 and 6 months thereafter. The Department of Trade and Industry had suggested that the closure should be done in phases to cushion the negative effect of the closure on businesses and livelihood in the area. The office is also looking at the possibility of declaring a state of calamity on the island. Meanwhile, Senior Deputy Executive Secretary Minardo Guevara saw no problem with the reported construction of 2 casinos in Boracay despite the proposed shutdown, as long as the companies comply with environmental rules and regulations. The Bureau of Jail Management and Penology has begun the inspection of 400 jail facilities around the country in time for summer. BJMP Director Deogracias Tapayan said this is to protect inmates from summer-related diseases. Among the BJMP's concerns is the congestion of jails, which contribute to the spread of illnesses. Tapayan has earlier ordered the installation of isolation rooms for sick inmates. He is seeking to speed up the disposition of cases, which will lead to the immediate release of inmates. The agency is also looking into the construction of larger jail facilities. Thomas Dooley believes that he did enough to get a new contract as the head coach of the Philippine Ascals. Dooley is confident of the Ascals' record for the past 4 years, adding that the team had the highest ranking ever. The former U.S. national team player, however, admitted that the Philippine Football Federation has yet to reach out to him regarding his contract. The Ascals' mentor, however, remains optimistic that he will stay with the Philippine national team. In the meantime, Dooley will deliver keynote speaking chores as he is set to speak to teen footballers and youth team coaches in an event organized by the Teen Ascals Foundation on Friday in Makati City. The relic of St. John Paul II is set to be placed on public veneration for devotees in Manila this weekend. Here's our report.
Manila Archbishop Luis Antonio Cardinal Tagle invited the faithful, especially devotees of St. John Paul II, to attend the Eucharistic celebration and first public veneration of the Saint's Vial of Blood this weekend. The head of the Archdiocese of Manila said the welcome Mass and the veneration will be held at the Manila Cathedral at 9 a.m. Saturday, April 7. This is the first ever blood relic of the great Pope still in liquid form stored in a glass container in the country. The relic was given by Cardinal Stanislaw Dziwisz, former secretary of the Pope, to the Manila Cathedral. The minor basilica and Metropolitan Cathedral of the Immaculate Conception has celebrated its 60th anniversary of the rebuilding of the cathedral post-war. The late Pope has visited the country twice, once in February 1981 and for the World Youth Day celebration in January 1995. In April 2014, he was declared saint by Pope Francis. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Here's another look at the day's top stories. President Duterte is considering the renewal of peace talks with the Moro National Liberation Front. The Department of Transportation plans to further increase the number of operational MRT trains. Ride-sharing companies Grab and Uber are expected to be transparent on the details of their upcoming merger. And on our features section, Catholics are invited to the first public veneration of St. John Paul II's relic. Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. And that's your daily dose of the hottest news and the latest information that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I'm Pia Rosas Morato. Good day.